Ahoy, me mateys! Welcome aboard my pirate ship. Today, we'll be setting sail to Game Jolt Island to see if we can find any hidden treasure. So many FNAF fan games are uploaded there daily that sometimes genuine high-quality products can get lost in the sea of mediocrity. I've picked out 3 different FNAF fan games to go over in this video that you more than likely have never heard of. Will they be good? Will they be bad? Who knows? I'm just a PNG of a cartoon pirate dog. But the point is, we want to find some hidden gems today. On the docket are these 3 games. First, we'll be taking a look at NIGHTSTARS. NIGHTSTARS is a short, one-night FNAF fan game with some pretty interesting gameplay mechanics that I haven't seen done in any other fan game before. While there's not enough here to warrant a full video, I still really wanted to talk about it, so I've decided to lump it into this one. Next up is Nightshift At Chungus. I don't know why this is on the list. Who put this here? No, seriously, what the actual fuck? Finally, we'll be taking a look at Bibsy's 2.0. This is a FNAF fan game that came out recently to very little fanfare. I actually found out about this one thanks to YouTube recommending the trailer for it, and it looked interesting enough for me to want to try it out. I ended up playing it the same night and had some very mixed feelings about it. Once again, I couldn't really justify making a full video on it, so I decided to include it here. So basically, I'm just making this video as an excuse to talk about Bibsy's and NIGHTSTARS because I didn't think they'd work on their own, and now I have to talk about a big Chungus FNAF fan game so I can put 3 in the title without playing a whole other actual game. Man, I really got dressed up in this pirate outfit for nothing, huh? I don't get paid enough for this. The money I make on this video probably won't even be enough to cover this stupid getup. Wait, did you hear that? It's the sponsor parrot! Wow, oh my god, how fitting! Get it because I'm a pirate now? Oh, sponsor parrot, what product will I be showing to my audience today? Okay, I can't understand you, I don't speak parrot. This video is brought to you by Manscaped, the global brand for men's grooming and hygiene products. Manscaped offers a wide variety of products that are all about keeping you hygienic. Good hygiene is always important, and you need the best tools for the job. To show that to you all, Manscaped sent over their all-in-one Perfect Package 4.0, so let's take a look, shall we? First, we have the all-new Lawnmower 4.0. This is Manscaped's 4th generation electric waterproof trimmer with advanced skin-safe technology, which reduces nicks and cuts on the most sensitive regions of the body. It's cordless and waterproof, so you can shave in the shower without a worry. It even comes with a wireless charging dock, featuring little LED lights to show you how much power you got left. That's up to 90 minutes on a full charge. Tap the button 3 times, and it enables the travel lock feature, which is great for travel. Also included in the Perfect Package 4.0 kit are the Crop Preserver and the Crop Reviver, to keep the most sensitive area of the body sharp. Apply the preserver after a shower, and spritz the reviver whenever you need a quick refresh. Finally, we have the Magic Mat, disposable shaving mat. This mat features some funny content, and even a couple hair design recommendations, if you're up to it. For a limited time, you can get all this plus 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag and the Manscaped Anti-Chafing Boxer Briefs. Go to manscaped.com today and get 20% off plus free international shipping plus 2 free gifts when you use the promo code yeah at checkout. Thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring today's video. NIGHTSTARS is a fairly new FNAF fan game that takes the extremely underused one-night format and does some pretty fun stuff with it. Other than the Flumpties games, the one-night fan game structure is very rarely touched on, which I think is a bit of a shame. There's a lot you can do with one hard challenge that continues to get harder as you go on, rather than 5 nights that only get slightly harder each time. With this kind of fan game, it cuts most of the boring fat a lot of fan games have with their first couple of nights, and throws the challenge right at you. You could argue this format limits what you can do when it comes to story, which is probably true, but when have I ever cared about the story in a FNAF game? Fan or official. It's just not really what I'm into, to be honest. I care significantly more about how a game plays and how it looks over if it can tell me a gripping story. That's probably part of the reason I was so interested in NIGHTSTARS to begin with. I wanted to play another cool looking fan game, but not commit to a super long experience. Just something fun, quick, and arcadey that I could sink my teeth into for an hour or so. That's what I went in expecting, and that's pretty much what I got. The game starts off with a short intro cutscene that sets up what very little story there is in the game. You play as a night guard who definitely got tipsy or something and fell asleep at his job. When he wakes up, oh no, everyone's gone, and now we're locked in Nightstar Palace until 6 AM. And that's pretty much it for the story. Like I said, when it comes to the one-night format, I'm not expecting anything crazy, and this does a good job at setting up the game quickly, so you can get right into the gameplay. Speaking of the gameplay, The loop in this game is not only fresh feeling, but extremely solid in a lot of aspects. It avoids many traps other fan games fall into, and every single mechanic or feature at your disposal feels useful. The most obvious thing right away is the setup of the camera system. You have a remote control that allows you to flip through 5 different cameras in a location, which may seem like a very small amount, but trust me, it works in the context of this game and its mechanics. Every time you flip between cameras, a number at the bottom of the screen will decrease by 1 digit. You have 15 camera flips until the number hits 0. Once this number hits 0, your camera system will go out, and you have to wait a couple seconds for it to come back on. This takes one of the most basic aspects of FNAF, switching between cameras, and completely turns it on its head. Now you have to make sure every single camera switch is meaningful, and will benefit you in making sure that you can defend yourself. Your cameras going out can easily lead to a game over if you're put in a super bad situation, which we'll get into more later. From my experience playing, I try to run out of camera switches as I'm about to deal with active animatronic threats at the door. That way, while I'm already away from the monitor defending myself, the system can restart at the same time. And that's what we pirates call multitasking. Anyway, you're probably wondering how you defend yourself in this game. You're able to look left and right at the doors to your side. The left door features a keycard reader that you have to swipe down to close the door. When something shows up in the doorway, just scan the card in time to protect yourself. Any animatronic you block there will bang on the door for a bit, then reset back to their starting position. The right door is a little more interesting, however. The door on that side is actually broken, so we can't use it to defend ourselves. Instead, we're given a taser gun in order to headshot any animatronics that show up in the doorway. You see everyone, this is what FNAF games have always needed. Not amazing real-time 3D graphics or free roam environments, just let me shoot an animatronic in the face with a gun and I'll be satisfied. Nah, but for real though, the 2 different doors having 2 different mechanics is such a small thing, but it goes a long way to make the game feel that much more interesting. I think if you miss a shot or shoot anywhere but the head, you get jump scared, but I'm too much of a gamer and I always get headshots, so I wouldn't really know. Check the cameras, defend yourself at the doors, and survive until 6 AM. It's really that simple. Except no, it's not. Of course it's not. The video section would be open. Anyway, you're probably wondering what this massive stage call button on the remote is. And that, my friend, is tied to the final threat this game has to offer. Starting at 3 AM during the night, the animatronic named Cherry becomes active. Unlike the other 2, who just go to your doors, this pest randomly starts spawning on the cameras during the night, which you'll be alerted to thanks to them laughing or a hallucination effect appearing on the screen. Originally it was just the laugh, but there's some glitch in the game that makes her appear without the laugh sometimes, which as you can imagine is extremely unfair and annoying, since you can't be wasting any camera switches at all in this game. So they added the hallucination so you can just know 100% of the time when she spawns. Anyway, when she spawns, you have to flip through the cameras to try to find her. Once you find her, you have to hold the stage call button to make her go away. This is where a lot of the challenge and reasoning for this gameplay loop comes into play. The reason there's only 5 cameras is because if there were more, finding Cherry would be extremely unfair thanks to the limited camera switches. Cherry also forces you to really pay attention to your camera switches, as if she spawns when you have less than 5 left, you better pray to God you get lucky with your switches. If you run out of switches and have to wait for a recharge while she's there, you might as well kiss your run goodbye. If you don't find her on time and make her go away, she'll jump scare you and end your night. And that's it for the characters and mechanics. While there's only 3 of them, they each serve an important role in the gameplay loop, and it creates a satisfying experience to go through. If I had to give any complaint really, I wish that another animatronic or threat was added around 4 or 5 AM, just to make the gameplay loop that much more chaotic right at the end. One of my favorite aspects of the one-night format is that you can add more animatronics in as the game goes on, without it feeling unfair or anything. Since it's just supposed to be one trial and error night, as long as everything is explained well, or is already just very obvious, the gameplay loop benefits a lot from the addition of more threats over time. While Cherry being added in at 3 AM sort of fits that role, I do think one more threat super late in the night would have gone a long way to make the game that much more fun. I can't really think of what they'd add off the top of my head, but I'm sure another threat could have been added in a clever way. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the gameplay. The loop is very fun and satisfying to pull off, and I absolutely adore how every aspect of the gameplay is put to good use here. Moving over to the visuals, this game is absolutely oozing with charm. From the notepad tutorial at the start of the night that teaches you how to play, from the way the map is shown on this cute little card, it's things like this that really make an experience that much more memorable. All the environments look great, as do the jump scares. The animatronic designs are pretty good as well. I'm not super crazy about them or anything, but they work in this game and fit the aesthetic very well. They sort of remind me of the Pop Goes Evergreen animatronics, where they kind of look like the toys from FNAF 2, but with more lanky and cylinder-esque bodies. Each hour that passes in the night, the music playing in the background slowly builds up until it hits 5 AM, at which point the music has become this grand song that is hyping you up to finish the night. Also, hitting the buttons on the controller is the most satisfying sound in the world. Really stellar stuff here. When you beat the game, you're given access to an extremely charming extras menu in a similar style to the tutorial pages at the start of the game. I always love seeing behind the scenes work for stuff like this, and it's crazy seeing how one idea becomes something completely different in the final product. Custom Night is also available after you beat the main night, and it features some pretty cool modifiers for the gameplay, such as the amount of switches you have before a camera cooldown, and how long each hour is. The max mode of this game only gives you 5 camera switches, and makes each hour 3 minutes, which is just way too much for me. I could never do this. For reference, a night in FNAF 4 lasts 6 minutes total, so this mode makes every hour half of a FNAF 4 night. Yeah, no thanks, I'm good. The 5 camera switches are also super intimidating here. However, there's a game mechanic that's kind of on the down low that helps out a bit in this department. Every single time an animatronic moves, the camera will flash for a second. It doesn't matter if you're looking at the animatronic or not, the screen will always flash when one moves. Since the layout of this place is so small and linear, this allows you to keep track of animatronic movements as long as you have a general idea where each one is. Although this doesn't fix the fact that Cherry is A, way more aggressive now, B, is active from the start, and C, you have way less chances to guess which camera they're on before they have to recharge. Too hard for me, but that's the point, so it's not really a big deal. Anyway, that pretty much wraps up NIGHTSTARS. I had a lot of fun with this one and wanted to share it with you all, so make sure to check it out at some point. I love the one night format and would love to play some more games that follow it. So hey, if you know any more that are really good, make sure to leave them in the comments. You know, besides the obvious. Anyway, it's time to set sail in a new direction. Up next is Nightshift At Chungus. Oh my god, did we figure out who added this yet? Do I really have to talk about this one? Alright, fine. So like I said at the start of this video, I really just wanted to talk about NIGHTSTARS and Bibsies, but I thought having a 3 in the title would be better than having a 2 in the title. So I hopped on GameJolt to find one final game to add to the roster. And now we're here. Nightshift At Chungus, also known as One Night at Chungus, is an extremely small FNAF fan game made by Meme Sauce that was literally made just to test his knowledge of Click Team Fusion. Why he decided that Big Chungus should be the star of that test is beyond me, but I'm already too deep at this point to back out, so I might as well just get this one over with. Nightshift At Chungus is not trying to be anything special or revolutionary. It's simply one night where you do a simple gameplay loop, and that's it. Even with all that out of the way though, there's something extremely charming about a more primitive FNAF fan game like this. It's projects like this that help developers eventually make great games in the future, so that's something to keep in mind as I cover this. I've been joking around about the game, but it isn't taking itself seriously either, so it's not a big deal. Anyway, starting off the title screen here, for some reason the text only shows up when you hover over the area where it's supposed to be. I have no idea why this is the case, but whatever, let's talk about the game now. We have 2 animatronics to keep track of here. Big Chungus and Withered Chungus. Big Chungus starts in a stage and will make his way to your office door. When you hear him laugh, it means he's there. Close the door on him to make him go back to his spot on the camera. Rinse, repeat until the night is over. Withered Chungus is on the other camera, and he needs attention to keep him at bay. His timer is at the bottom of the screen, and it depletes every second that you aren't looking at his camera. To make it go up again, look at his camera. And that's it. That's the entire game. Oh, I guess there's also this Shadow Chungus thing I found, but other than that, that's it. Did I expect anything more? No. Did I expect anything less? Also no. I went in with literally no expectations. But you know what? The game did its job. It helped Meme Sauce prove to himself that he could use Click Team Fusion. So hey, maybe he'll go work on an even bigger project now. Who knows? Oh wait, I know, because Nightshift At Chungus 2 is in development. Does this game need a sequel? I don't know. But who cares what this old pirate thinks, because it's happening anyway and there's nothing we can do to stop that. Maybe I'll stream it when it comes out, who knows. Anyway, enough talking about this game. It's finally time to talk about the other major game in this video. Alright, time for our final game of the day, Bibsies. Specifically the version 2.0 update, which is essentially a remake of the original version. New animatronic designs, revamped assets, the whole works. Like I said at the start, I was interested enough in the trailer on their YouTube channel to check out the actual game. And so I did. Bibsy's is a really interesting case of a game that has a lot going for it, while also having very obvious issues that I'm surprised weren't addressed in this revamped version. The start of this game has a pretty good cutscene of the player entering the location of the game, which leads into a segment where you're able to walk around the area before you settle into the night shift. This is a pretty cool idea, but here lies one of my biggest, if not my absolute biggest, issue with this game. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. The environments in this game are awful. Every single room here looks almost the exact same, and it's super easy to get lost in this opening section thanks to that. I think it's extremely funny the devs added this really cool section where you can walk around the building only for it to be pointless, because what the hell is there even to look at here? There are no interesting set pieces, everything looks like a generic office or storage building. The only somewhat interesting room here is the one with the animatronics, but even then it's bland as hell. If I had a kid, I would absolutely not take them here. This looks like the most depressing restaurant ever made. And yes, this is a restaurant we're looking at. The phone guy at the start of the game says that Bibsy's is a burger joint. What about this location screams burger place to you at all? Every room is filled with the same boring gray chairs and boring gray shelves. It's just such a major oversight that genuinely boggles me so hard, even after playing it a while ago. Just put some salt and pepper shakers on the tables, for crying out loud. Anything at all. The funniest part about this is how it contrasts the end of shift screen that plays when you finish a night. It has like this epic music to hype you up and awesome colorful fireworks, and then the rest of the game just looks like this. I hate to start with something so negative here, but the game doesn't give me many options when the literal first bit of gameplay is just walking around the environments you're going to be staring at on the cameras the entire game. Anyway, once you're done having your fill of white bland environments, you're able to start your night shift. The core gameplay loop of Bibsy's involves only a couple animatronics, but the way they work is interesting enough to carry the gameplay for the most part. The first animatronic starts on the show stage and is able to take one of two different paths. One path takes them directly to your left window, and the other takes them to the hallway outside your office. In this game, you're actually able to leave your office to check that hallway, so if he's there, you have to go back to your office quickly to take action. You have a control panel that you're able to reset on top of your screen. If Philly, the bear animatronic, is at your door in the hall, use that panel to make him leave. The other main animatronic is Bibsy. Bibsy will start on the show stage and make their way around the location, walking through various rooms, but will never come to your office. Instead, Bibsy will go to rooms that have vents in them and try to enter them. If Bibsy enters a vent, there's nothing you can do to stop her, and she will jump scare you after a few seconds. In order to stop her, you have to switch to the vent camera system so you can lock the vent closest to the camera she's on. This becomes a game of following Bibsy and making sure she can't enter any vents while checking the door and the hallway for Philly. You never have an actual reason to track Philly on the cameras, so you're pretty much able to focus on Bibsy the entire game. These mechanics work well enough, and while it's not the most crazy or revolutionary FNAF gameplay ever conceived, it was still a pretty fun time for the most part. However, I'm ignoring one of the biggest aspects of the gameplay loop. That's the power crank. Your camera's power in this game depletes very quickly, and in order to make it go back up again, you have to crank an actual crank in-game to increase it. This involves leaving your room to go into the hall, and then going even further away to a power room. Here's where you can crank the crank in order to get your power back. You have to keep your mouse steady on the crank in order to spin it without falling off. This final piece of the gameplay loop really ties it all together, as you have to time your power crank trips in relation to both of the animatronics and their movement patterns. Just finished dealing with Philly? Maybe now's a good time to step away and increase your camera power. But wait, make sure Bibsy isn't in a room with an open vent first. Has she moved recently? Maybe wait until she moves so you can lock her in for a longer amount of time before you decide to leave. You have to juggle all these aspects of gameplay while going through the nights, which makes a pretty simple set of mechanics a lot more interesting. Oh yeah, there's also this stupid fucking endoskeleton that joins the night later on, and I still have no idea what it actually does. Like, I think if you look at him for too long, he just permanently kills your cameras or something, but it rarely ever happens. And then there's also this crash screen they do that steals a lot of your power for no reason. I really have no idea what this dude's deal is, even after playing the game multiple times. But it doesn't really matter, because as soon as he joins the Knights, the game is pretty much over, and he barely adds anything to the overall gameplay loop in terms of balancing risks and rewards. Anyway, that's pretty much it when it comes to gameplay. I think the difficulty curve is pretty well balanced for the most part, and I never felt like a death was super unfair or anything. Usually it was just me being sloppy, and not dealing with Philly on time, or forgetting to lock a vent for Bibsy. When it comes to the presentation, I won't go over the environments again, we've been over that, but in the animatronics department, I have a couple thoughts. Bibsy kind of just looks like it's trying to be Jollibee or something, to be honest. I was never really huge on that kind of design philosophy for animatronics, so yeah, I'm not big on this one. The original version of the character, while looking worse 100%, at least had something a bit more original going on. I feel like this base design could have been redesigned in a more original way. Philly looks fine, I like him. I don't really have much to say in regards to him, but he looks happy, I'm proud of him. Finally, we have to talk about the 6th night. When you finish up night 5, you have to do a bonus night with completely different gameplay. Here, you're in a dark boiler room with a bunch of valves in front of you. The goal here is to twist all the valves until they stop turning, while also defending yourself against the animatronics that appear behind you. Every couple seconds, you have to turn around to make sure you don't die. If you hear breathing when you turn around, it means Bibsy is nearby, and you have to hold shift until they leave. If you hear no breathing, use the flashlight to scare away either Philly or the endoskeleton. I actually had a lot of fun with this part of the game once I understood it. It feels like a good sister location style minigame, and there isn't really much I'd change with it. Sure, the animatronics look pretty goofy when they flail around in the light, but if something's funny, it's okay. If I could add anything to it, maybe having the endoskeleton hide in the boiler room so you actually have to use the light to look around to find him would have been more fun. Him being the exact same as Philly is a little lame. And then the place burns to the ground, the end. And that was 3 FNAF fan games you've probably never heard of before. I think it's pretty obvious that Nightshift at Chungus was the best game I covered today, so I guess it was all worth it in the end. Anyway, is now a good time to tell you all I can't drive a boat to save the life of me? I'm surprised I've been steering it for this long. Oh my god, I'm gonna crash. Ah!